So today, let's talk about client management when it comes to like what we actually do inside of agencies, because I think a lot of people get confused as to what we actually do. And to me, it's not just managing the relationships. There's so many other things behind the scenes that I think are really important.
Welcome to the Happy Clients Podcast, brought to you by Dot & Company. Whether you're a virtual assistant, an agency owner, or a client-facing account manager, we all deal with clients. Lucky for you, client management is what we do best. Now, let's dig in, chat cam life, and have some fun along the way. Cheers to happy clients.
Like, I get this question a lot from agency owners. Like, of course, Carly does this awesome job prepping them to like take on and start working with Dot & Company. And then when agency owners come to me, they're like, what's the scope? What should they be doing? What shouldn't they be doing? And that's why our Dot & Company cams are like premium, right? Because we do know so much, but there's a lot of this other sort of work that goes behind the scenes, right? Admin work, processes, project management, and that stuff is easier to get our job as client account managers done more efficiently, and also really keeps the agency moving and shaking. So there's so much that goes on behind, outside of kind of the client account management role, or what people might think, it's client comms, it's client facing, but then there's this whole other world too. And it's good for me to talk about that with agency owners. So, we can really help them the best we can.
Yeah. And I think something that all of us at Dot kind of talk about, but it's like no one else can do my job. Once you're in the agency, it's like your baby. Like you hold all the information, and it's like, I don't know, Katie, if you were like, oh, I'll just take over your client while you're on vacation, I'd be like, okay, but like, no, I'll just,
But you don't know about their kids. You don't know about their horse.
Yeah,
you don't know about their COVID-19 process.
Yeah,
exactly.
You don't know how hilarious I am with the clients. You can't jump in there. No way. So I think a lot of what we do once we're in the agency after a few months, we have not only relationships with the clients, which are quite, professional and to the brand of the agency, but also we have such great relationships inside the agency. It's those weekly meetings, it's the back and forth, like how we're friends. And I don't know, it's more than just.
Yeah, it's funny you actually say that, because it's client facing, but it's also like internal facing, like talking to media buyers, because I do find like they are so protective of their work sometimes. So like even that relationship you need to kind of nurture a little bit, and you do become their best friend as well, because you have to kind of give feedback and give them good and bad, the good, the bad, and the ugly sometimes. So it's client facing for sure, but it's all these other moving pieces. So yeah, if we want to just tell everybody kind of what it is, let's break it out. First of all, I think we can absorb a lot of the admin work, right? Like client account managers do a lot of admin. There's definitely a key role for like a VA or somebody in the agency. There's a lot of those pieces that need to be picked up by somebody like a virtual assistant. But the admin work of a client account manager is to just get the project moving, make sure the pieces are falling into place. So it's not VA necessarily, because there is some distinct differences between the two, but it definitely plays a part in what client account managers do.
Yeah. So Katie, give some examples, like what's some admin work you do that maybe people wouldn't think we would be responsible for?
Yeah. So I'm all the time updating project management tools, and sometimes those processes change. So maybe a good admin task for me is to like ping media buyers inside of Slack. Like that's a double up, that's admin, but it's just to make my job a little bit easier. Hey, have you seen this? A daily pulse of what's going on with the clients I'm working on for the whole agency, so everybody can see. Those sort of admin little tasks that only I have the information for, right? Another huge one is like getting stuff on a calendar, making sure those meetings are booked.
Yeah, that's a good one, because I think a lot of agency owners think they need a VA to do like scheduling meetings with clients. It takes us 2 seconds. Like I think it should be our job, to be honest.
And I know their schedule, like I know what they're doing. So I know their time zones, and they hear from me all the time. So of course I'm going to set that up.
Yeah, like scheduling meetings, and some things that I do that I, of course are administrative, but I just need to do it because I need to know things like in one of the agencies I work with, we have onboarding forms for when a new client comes on board. So obviously I'm the one to go in and check to see if the client's filled it out. Like I don't expect a VA to do that. I'm doing it. And it's quite administrative, but I'm doing it. Or taking the onboarding type form documents and putting them into a nicely organized Word doc, like I'm doing that. And it doesn't have to be a VA. So yeah, I think a lot of the admin work can get confused. It's like, oh, I need a VA to do these and I need a client account manager to do these things. But really, we take ownership of a lot of that admin and I like it. I don't know about you, but it feels so productive.
Yeah, it's like a weird soother. Like if people have fidget toys or whatever, we have admin, right? like yeah, I like it too. I also like now we're just like fangirling. But what I like about admin too is that I know where everything is. So when you're setting up those type forms, when you're setting up the Google Drives, I know what the accounts are on the back end of Facebook because, sometimes they have weird names. I have all that information that is really vital to me. Somebody like a VA who's not in it and living and breathing it every day, they aren't as, they might not pay as close attention, making sure it's all named the same and it's all in the same spot for every single client and the media buyers know where it is. So it's admin plus. It's kind of making our jobs a little bit easier, which kind of makes the whole train go a little bit smoother.
It's true. And we talk a lot about SOPs. And I think the only way for us to know how to, let's call it run the agency on the inside, like we need to know how to do all the things. And running an online business, virtual, there's a lot of admin things. And sometimes, there's things that Katie might do in an agency that I don't do. Like sometimes you send invoices, but I don't, or it just kind of depends. But yeah, lots of admin. And
then we'll move on from this, but there's also kind of the needs of the agency too. Like I'm working with an agency now who it's almost like I'm CAM/ops. Like I'm doing a lot of the moving pieces and there's admin, but it's all relative to keeping the clients happy. So I think maybe that's kind of the overarching sort of part of why admin's so important for a client account manager.
And you made a good point. Agency owners that we work with come to you and say like, what's in scope, what's out of scope. And it's kind of something that ebbs and flows. Like you said, it has to be something that makes clients happy, makes the agency owner happy. It saves them time. It makes things more efficient. So some things are kind of like in the gray area, but it really just depends on the situation, if it's in scope or not.
Yeah. And the CAM too.
Yeah, exactly. Like
that's why the fit is so important, right?
Yeah, exactly. So
we know what the agency wants. We know what the CAM can deliver. So bada bing, bada boom.
Bada bing. Cool. The next thing I wanted to mention that a lot of people don't realize is that we have a lot of internal meetings in the agency. So it's not just client meetings. It's not just like we jump in and take over managing clients. There's a lot of internal stuff that's happening. So for me, I know I have, lots of internal chats and spontaneous meetings and planned meetings, but that I would say takes up as much time as client meetings.
And so useful too, because like you need to touch base with those media buyers. And sometimes agency owners are on those calls and sometimes they're not, but it's really you that needs to know the information. Like agency owners know that media buyers are working the ads. They know that, their strategy is in place, and it's us that need to tell the client kind of what we're working on, what's next, what creative do we need? Give me this video here, like all this kind of internal stuff that gets actually taken over to the client, which is our job. They're super important for sure, because it builds that community too. You want to have that internal community. You're part of the agency, but also helps you kind of deliver what's the up and comings to the client.
Exactly. So another thing that I think a lot of people don't understand kind of what our role looks like is when it comes to processes. So I think everyone is a little bit different on the scope of like techie versus not techie and process oriented versus not. But as a rule of thumb, we are responsible for processes. So
yeah. And it's Tay's happy spot. Like all she wants is an SOP on every single thing ever.
It's true. It allows you to scale.
Yeah. It's Tay's happy place where she's always telling us to get the processes straight, share the processes. Could one agency's be improved because of what you learned from another one? Like there's kind of no bad things come from the processes and getting them really to like the perfect place for the agency and making sure that they're updated all the time. And that's a huge part of client account management.
Yeah. And I think why I love like SOPs and processes is because you shouldn't make a mistake more than once. So if you do something, it should be put into a process. If you keep making mistakes, there's something going on. And so that's a huge thing, especially in remote work. And two, it takes a lot of brain power to come up with solutions and problem solving. So if you are putting in the effort to figure something out, you should at least document that so that you can learn from that and do it again. Okay. And the third thing is that we are big on training people to like level up. And, what if you're going on vacation and someone needs to take over? You should have something where someone can follow it and understand kind of generally what you do on a day-to-day basis. And the only way to do that is through processes.
Yeah, we used to say hit by the bus, but now I say win the lottery. So maybe a better one. But yeah, like
are you saying you're gonna leave me if you win the lottery?
Win the lottery. Depends how much. But maybe somebody wins the lottery and then they're out. Like, wouldn't it just be great that another CAM comes right in and picks up exactly where they left off? That's like the ideal, not ideal situation.
I still like get hit by a bus better.
Okay, I'll bring it back. And then kind of just as we wrap up what client account managers do outside of, kind of the stereotypical client account management, there's tons of hand-holding, there's pushing things to completion, there's clients and internal, like we said, and we need to make sure that everything is getting done and that media buyers are delivering on what they want to. So there's gentle pings and friendly reminders. What's your favorite one to use, Tay? Like I always use friendly reminder to get done. I also will say gentle ping every now and then.
The gentle ping.
That's great. Gentle ping.
Can we coin that, please? Daily pulse, and we have the gentle ping.
Gentle ping.
I like it.
Because it could be aggressive, a ping. Anyway. So there is this kind of element of hand-holding. And then there's also this whole other component, which is super important, which is the reporting and digging into the data and making sure KPIs are being met. And if they're not, flagging the right people. I wouldn't say I always look at the KPIs with every agency I've worked with, but there's definitely a bonus to knowing what's happening inside the ad account and being like it's a cool position to be in when you're like, hey, what's going on here? This is out of KPI. It's good to
That's a good point, because that's why we hire marketers so that we can be strategic inside of our accounts.
Totally. Cool. So there's tons of stuff that goes in client account management outside of what the norm may be. And that actually can look different for every agency. And that's why we kind of have this process of getting to know agencies and client account managers. So just the match is perfect. So if you ever think, oh, that's not in client account management scope, like it might be. There's nothing we can't do.
Because we love it, right, Katie?
That's right. I know, like who on this planet finds joy in like checking off boxes and processes and admin work? Like it really just, I don't know, it's like the spark in the flame, right? Like it just makes everything kind of grow bigger and better. So
love it. Well, that's it for today. Thank you for listening in to another episode of the Happy Clients podcast. If you need help with anything client management, processes, SOPs, we can help. So reach out @andcompany.co, and we're here to make your clients happy.
Here's to happy clients.